Brazil Best Dedicated Server Provider, by TheServerHost. Brazil, officially the Republic of Brazil, is arguably the largest country in South America and Latin America. Brazilians are famous for their cuisine, which ranges from spicy and sour to sweet and piquant and lively. TheServerHost Brazil Dedicated Servers are servers that are owned by a user and solely used for that user's activities on the Internet. A dedicated server, also known as Managed Web Hosting Service, Dedicated Server Hosting, or Self-Managed Web Hosting Service is a kind of Internet hosting where the user leases an entire server exclusively for his or her activities on the Internet. Dedicated servers are usually run by their own software from a single location. Typically, Brazil dedicated servers are intended for individuals and businesses that generate high amounts of web traffic. In fact, many dedicated servers can support hundreds of thousands or even millions of visitors at one time. Therefore, if you have a high-traffic website, it's very important to make sure that you select a dedicated server with a high bandwidth and a powerful processor. Otherwise, you will experience difficulties when attempting to process or send web pages to your website. A dedicated server can be a good idea if you are looking at expanding your online business. TheServerHost Brazil Dedicated Server features. Dedicated IP. As you likely already know, an IP is an identification number assigned to a specific computer. With dedicated server you will get one IPv4 and IPv6 address. You can buy additional address with additional cost. When you're using a shared IP, you could be exposed to attacks from other users on the Internet. So do opt for dedicated IP. Low latency. Latencies affect the performance of a website and the way it responds to user interactions. As you can see, low latency solutions deliver the benefits of high performance streaming but without sacrificing on usability and speed. With low latency, one wants to be able to view their pages or streams in a matter of seconds, instead of up to several hundred. With low latency, however, the response time to an Internet request would never be longer than a couple of milliseconds, as opposed to high latency where a web page would have to take several microsteps before it would be able to respond. For example, a web page would load, receive some data from the server, and then have to wait until the next frame is ready before it will be visible on the user's screens. In this example, the client's Internet connection's latency would determine how long different frames would take to be ready. TheServerHost Brazil Dedicated Server Provider Managed Service List. Daily backup. With all the choices in the market today, one thing that you cannot do without is a reliable and consistent daily backup. This feature would ensure that your work will not be affected if there is a sudden change in the system. A daily backup is very important because there are so many things that need to be tended to in a business. With a reliable and consistent daily backup feature in place, you would be able to handle all these easily. All in all, a dedicated server would be an excellent choice for a business owner who needs a comprehensive solution for his data storage requirements. You would be able to save a lot of money on maintaining your servers and at the same time, protect the important data of your business. Unmetered bandwidth 100 MB/s, 10 GB/s, it is simply defined as the total amount of bandwidth that is allowed to be used by a subscriber for a given period of time. In most cases, unmetered bandwidth is used to define the rate at which information is transferred from and to the server every second. This rate is in fact called uplink speed. Unmetered bandwidth allow user to utilize the maximum allowed bandwidth all the time for high uptime and premium performance. DDoS protection. If you have dedicated servers running on dedicated IPs, then you already know that DDoS protection is something that is very important for any webmasters. With this kind of server it becomes very difficult for an attacker or distributed attack to affect all of your clients. A DDoS attack happens when a huge number of legitimate online users try to access the same resource at the same time, resulting in a significant degradation in traffic and service levels. There are many different types of threats to a dedicated server offer, and you need to know exactly what you are protecting your business from. Common attacks include port scanning, denial of service attacks, and protocol attacks. A TheServerHost Brazil Dedicated Server is an entirely separate piece of hardware that is solely dedicated to your website. It uses its own IP address, its own configuration, and even its own software, and with proper firewall, making it much more difficult for an intruder to compromise. Secured data center. Just like any other type of machine, data center equipment needs to be secured in order to function properly. Securing data centers comes in the form of layers of security that are often applied on the infrastructure as a whole. In addition to these layers, physical access cards or smart cards are often used, which enable only authorized personnel the free passage onto the data centers. The process of securing data centers also includes ensuring that all aspects of the infrastructure are kept in top working condition. This includes ensuring that all layers of the infrastructure, such as servers and storage devices, are kept in pristine condition at all times. Also, the network must be kept as clean as possible to prevent any downtime for business operations. While in the past, most companies had to employ their own IT staffs to do the maintenance of the center, today's private centers can be outsourced to any company that has expertise in the maintenance of such an infrastructure. Flexible packages. Brazil Dedicated Server do offer flexible hosting package to accumulate any kind of user requirement with custom plans or existing plans as per budget. For more information, visit TheServerHost.